All right, from Northern Ontario to England and Kent, and we meet Dr. Lindsay Cameron, who is a senior lecturer in psychology and the director of education in the School of Psychology. Hi, Dr. Cameron, how are you today?
Hello. Hi.
So you're studying how children become social beings, is what I've read, and how they develop social knowledge and skills that us adults take for granted. Do you want to give me the top five?
Things that we take for granted: how to make friends, how to problem solve, how to make decisions, how to sort of take the perspective of someone else, and yeah, how to control your emotions. Another one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, us adults need to do all of that too. So, but I mean, here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and it has really hit kids hard, I think, as a
Yeah.
parent.
Yeah.
Do you have kids yourself?
I do. I have three. I have
Right. So
three kids.
I've got two boys. So it's probably the same situation given on different ages, that kids have suddenly not been able to graduate, or kids have not been able to see their friends for, at least 2 months. And that must have a toll socially on them.
Absolutely. I mean, social interaction is so important for children's development. It's important for us adults, but it's so important for children. And depending on the age of your children, this pandemic is having a different effect on them. So, if you've got, I don't know how old your kids are, but I've got a 2-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old. I'd say out of all of them, the 7-year-old has probably found it the hardest, because chatting on Zoom doesn't really happen for a 7-year-old boy. It doesn't really do anything for him in terms of friends. He wants to play with his friends. He wants to interact with them, and that's what he's really missing.
So is this just a little holiday and a little break in that social development, or do you think it has long-lasting effects on kids?
I think it depends how long it's got to go on for. Here in the UK, our schools haven't been in for a few months now, and I don't know what's going to happen in September yet. So we're kind
I mean, my
of
kids are
digging
going
in.
back to school next week. One of them, the
That's
12-year-old, goes
great.
back next week. So he does get some school.
I think we might find for those kids that are, in a good position at home, who've got a lot of support, they'll go back to school and things will go back to normal for them. It's difficult for those more vulnerable kids that haven't got the support at home. It's going to be harder for them to catch up and get back to normal.
So
There'll be a bit of a
how
culture
do parents
cycle.
fill that gap?
I think one of the best things that parents can do is try and play like a kid. So think about what your children enjoy doing. What do they like to play? How do they like to play? What games do they like to do? And try and play with them like you're a kid as well, because that's what they're
That's
missing.
interesting,
They're
because I saw you
missing
wrote
the
about that. You wrote about that. You said, like, drop your parenting
just for a little
mode
while.
for a minute and get down on your hands and knees and just play like another kid with your
I
children.
think
And
that would help. I think that would really help kids, even just for a little while. Just try and just get involved, enter their world for a little while. And I think that would help them, because what they're really missing is that sort of joint play, with another child, where they're just making up games, making up the rules, imaginary play, rough and tumble play. They're really missing all of that.
So in Canada, and in the United States and in some parts of Europe, camping is a huge thing, where kids go to overnight camps, and those camps have been canceled, to the point that some kids say summer has been canceled. I mean, they take it very emotionally because they see friends there year by year. They are away from us. They get away from their parents and they do things on their own. And people say, that really builds resiliency. Do you agree with that? That kids
I,
have to get away from their parents a bit?
I think that free play, unstructured play, whether it's, in school and playtime, playing out after school or at camp, is so important for children's development. It's just essential for so many skills: personal, social, cognitive skills, developing understanding of emotions, so many things that they develop, and it's just so important. And they enjoy it. It's fun. It brings a lot of joy into their life. But the key thing is that interaction away from, parents who provide structure. And it really, actually playing effectively with children without your parents around or adults around requires a lot of skills that children have to develop. And so I could see how camp would actually force children to develop those skills, because they want to play, they want to interact with other kids, And so they have to develop these skills to be able to do it on their own without parents around. These skills are really important.
You know, I'm sure you've heard the term helicopter parents. I learned a new one this week from my Canadian friends, and that is snowplow parents. So we don't have
Yeah.
snow in England, but that's, you know, you push everything out of the way of your children. You do everything for
Yeah,
them. And
yeah.
same with helicopter parents. You're constantly hovering over them and organizing their lives and making things easy for them. So maybe we make it a bit too easy, and that's why all of this discussion about how they spend their summers is really important.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I do that too. Of course I do. I'm sure I'm a helicopter, snowplow parent, all those things. But there's a few different reasons why kids are spending. So we know that kids are spending less time having less free play, less unstructured playtime with other children. Is one of the reasons is parents are worried about crime. They're worried about letting their kids out to play and just themselves without any adults around. There's much more structured activities. There's pressure academically, so parents feel a pressure to not let their kids go out and play, or to just have that free play time. So I can understand why parents do it, and I do it as well. But it is important to understand that free play time with unstructured play without adults hovering around is really important. It's when kids learn to sort of manage other children, to kind of manage interactions effectively, to control themselves so they can carry on the game, to control their emotions. They learn to make decisions. These are all things that you need to get along with people. And if your parents are always there, then you know that you can always go to them and say, so and so's done this to me. So and so's not playing my game. If your parent is not there to sort things out for you, you have to learn to sort them out for yourself, and that is a good skill for children to have. I know that my two kids can be playing. My two older kids can be playing along really well together, really nicely. As soon as I come in that room, they're all about so and so did this, he did that. A minute ago when
Well,
I
I'm
wasn't
glad.
there, it
I'm
was all
glad to
going
know
fine.
that somebody else is in that movie.
Yeah. So sometimes it's good to step back and let them just get on with it, and they can rise to the challenge a lot of the time.
So is this attached to time in terms of development? Is this just okay? So you take this 2 months out of kids' lives, or you take maybe even a summer out of their lives, and they will pick up and they will eventually just fill that in, and it's on a delayed fuse how they bridge those social gaps. Or do you feel that something is potentially lost here because weeks roll into months, and maybe some of this rolls into a year or more?
I think it just depends on how long this is all going to go on for. I think a few months for a 3-year-old in proportion is much more than it is for a 12-year-old, 15-year-old. So I do think that people will, once they get back to school, their usual routine with their peers, they'll be able to get back to normal, and those skills will come back. Younger kids, yeah, they might take a bit longer to kind of get used to interacting with other people again. I think that'll be quite hard actually for all the ages, because younger kids might think they're going back to school and it'll all be like it was before, but that's important to let them understand that it might not be. They won't be able to interact with their peers like they did before. They're going to have to change the way they play a bit in terms of social distancing and so on.
Last word on all of this, as the summer of 2020 presents itself to us in very unusual terms.
Let's look forward to summer 2021 when hopefully we'll be able to do all those fun things that we are really looking forward to.
Dr. Lindsay Cameron, thank you so much from Kent University. Great to talk to you.